The rain tapped softly against the metal roof of my repair shop on the outskirts of Sector 12. In the year 2187, rain rarely came naturally anymore. Most of it was artificial, released by the weather towers to keep the air breathable in the overcrowded cities. I sat hunched over a dismantled service drone, tightening the last bolt on its optical sensor. Boot sequence, I muttered. The drone's blue eye flickered to life. System restored, it chirped. I leaned back in my chair, wiping grease from my hands. Repairing machines had become my entire life. Drones, scanners, broken android limbs. If it had circuits, I could fix it. But machines were easier than people. Especially when the only person who ever truly mattered had vanished from my life 10 years ago. Her name was Lena. We grew up together in the lower districts of the capital megacity. In those days, before the unified Earth government tightened its control, life still had small freedoms. Lena was fearless. She climbed the abandoned towers, hacked school terminals, and always dragged me along for her adventures. "You worry too much, Kai," she would laugh. "The world is bigger than these districts." I believed her, until the day she disappeared. No goodbye. No message. Just gone. The authorities said she had been relocated during a district purge. Others whispered she had joined rebels. I searched for years, but eventually I had to accept the truth. Lena was gone, or so I thought. 10 years later, my life had become quiet and predictable. Wake up. Repair machines. Avoid trouble. Repeat. That routine shattered the night a stranger stumbled into my shop. The door burst open with a metallic clang. I grabbed the plasma cutter beside my desk. A man collapsed onto the floor, bleeding heavily from his shoulder. "Help me," he gasped. His uniform caught my eye. Not government. Not civilian. Rebel. I hesitated. Helping rebels meant death if the military found out. But the man was already fading. With a sigh, I dragged him onto the repair table and sealed the wound with a med patch. After several minutes, his breathing stabilized. His eyes opened slowly. "Why help me?" he asked weakly. "I fix broken things," I replied. "You counted." He gave a faint smile. "You're Kai Mercer, right?" My stomach tightened. How do you know my name?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small hollow chip. "She told me to find you, as if anything happened." "She?" I asked. The chip flickered to life. A hologram appeared above the table. My breath stopped. It was Lena. Older now. Stronger. Her hair shorter, her eyes sharper, but unmistakably her. "Hello, Kai," the hologram said. "If you're seeing this, things have gone very wrong." My hands trembled. "She's alive," I whispered. The injured man nodded. "Barely," he said. The hologram continued. "I was taken by the military 10 years ago," Lena said. "They didn't relocate me. They recruited me." Images appeared beside her. Training facilities, armored soldiers, experimental labs. "They built a program called Project Sentinel," she said. "Human soldiers enhanced with neural implants and combat AI." My chest tightened. "They turned us into weapons." The hologram flickered. "I escaped 3 years ago and joined the resistance. But now they've captured me again." Coordinates flashed across the hologram. A military camp in the northern wastes. The message paused, her eyes softening. "Kai, I never wanted to drag you into this. But if anyone can find a way inside that camp, it's you." The hologram faded. Silence filled the shop. I stared at the empty air. 10 years. 10 years of wondering where she was. And now she was a prisoner in a military black site. The rebel soldier watched me carefully. "They're moving her in 48 hours, he said. "After that, she disappears forever." "Why tell me?" I asked. "Because she said you're the only person she trusts." I looked down at the coordinates. Northern Wastes, one of the most heavily guarded military zones on Earth. Breaking in would be suicide. But Lena had asked for my help, and I had spent 10 years regretting that I never found her. I stood up. Where's the nearest transport? I asked. The rebel smiled faintly. I knew you'd say that. The journey to the Northern Wastes took 12 hours in a stolen cargo shuttle. Snowstorms raged across the frozen desert as the military camp appeared on the horizon. Rows of watchtowers, drone patrols, energy fences. It looked less like a prison and more like a fortress. Any brilliant plans? The rebel asked. I studied the camp through binoculars. Actually, I said. Yeah. 2 hours later, a supply convoy rolled toward the main gate. Inside the third cargo container, the rebel and I crouched behind stacks of crates. You're hacking better work, he whispered. I pulled out my portable terminal. I repair machines for a living, I said. Hacking them is just step 2. The truck stopped. Guards scanned the cargo. A red light flashed. Unauthorized weight detected, the scanner announced. The guards frowned. My fingers flew across the terminal. Override, come on. The light turned green. Cargo verified. The gate opened. The truck rolled inside. The rebel exhaled slowly. Remind me never to doubt you again. Once the convoy parked inside the base, we slipped out of the container. Floodlights swept across the yard. We moved quickly between shadows. Prison block is that building, the rebel whispered, pointing to a tall, reinforced structure. 2 guards stood at the entrance. Leave them to me, I said. I tossed a small device across the ground. It beeped loudly. The guards turned toward the noise. A second later, an EMP pulse knocked them unconscious. Efficient, the rebel said. We entered the building. Inside, rows of prison cells lined the corridor. Some held prisoners. Others were empty. Then we saw the sign. Subject, Sentinel Unit 07. My heart pounded. Lena. The door required retinal authorization. Step back, I said. I connected my terminal. The lock system fought back harder than anything I'd seen before. Military encryption. Triple-layer security. But machines always had weaknesses. After several tense minutes, click. The door opened. Lena sat chained to a metal chair in the center of the room. Her eyes were closed. Metal implants glowed faintly along her temples. For a moment, I couldn't move. Lena, I whispered. Her eyes opened slowly. They locked onto mine. Shock spread across her face. Kai. Her voice cracked. You actually came. I rushed forward and unlocked the restraints. Of course I came. She looked at me as if she couldn't believe I was real. You shouldn't be here, she said. They'll kill you. Then we should probably leave, I replied. The rebel stepped in. Touching reunion later. Soldiers incoming. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the building. Intruders detected. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Too late, the rebel muttered. Lena grabbed a fallen guard's rifle. Her movements were precise, almost mechanical. They implanted combat AI in my brain, she said. I can predict enemy movement. Gunfire erupted in the hallway. Soldiers poured in. Lena moved like lightning. 3 shots. 3 soldiers dropped. I stared in disbelief. You weren't kidding about the upgrades. Less talking, she said. More running. We fought our way through the camp. Explosions rocked the yard as drones activated. Searchlights tracked us across the snow. The rebel pointed toward the fence. Escape vehicles beyond that ridge. But before we could reach it, a massive armored mech stepped into our path. Military insignia gleamed on its armor. Sentinel Unit 07, the mech's pilot announced through speakers. Return to custody. Lena's face hardened.
No.
The mech raised its cannon. Before it could fire, Lena sprinted forward with impossible speed. She leaped onto the mech's arm, climbed to the cockpit, and tore the hatch open. The pilot screamed as she ripped him from the seat. The mech powered down. She jumped back to the ground. I blinked. Remind me never to argue with you. She smirked slightly. Noted. Moments later, we reached the Rebel shuttle. The engines roared to life. Missiles launched from the base as we lifted into the sky. Hold on, the Rebel shouted. The shuttle swerved through explosions and anti-air fire. Finally, the camp shrank behind us. The radar cleared. Silence filled the cockpit. We had escaped. Hours later, the shuttle drifted quietly above the clouds. Lena stood near the window, staring at the stars. I walked beside her. So, I said, 10 years. She nodded slowly. I thought about you every day. Then why didn't you come back sooner? I asked. Her voice was soft. Because the military put a tracker in my brain. If I got close to the city, they'd find me. She looked down. I didn't want to put you in danger. I laughed quietly. Too late for that. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she turned toward me. You risked everything to save me. Why? I met her eyes. Because you never disappeared from my life. You were just waiting for me to find you. She smiled. For the first time in 10 years. And in that moment I realized something. The world was still controlled by a ruthless military regime. The Sentinel program still existed. And Lena was living proof of it. Our fight wasn't over. It had just begun. But this time, we would face it together. The shuttle hummed softly as it cut through the dark sky above the clouds. The Rebel pilot, whose name I had finally learned was Rafe, kept the craft steady while the autopilot handled most of the navigation. Outside the window, the stars looked calm and distant. But down on Earth, the world was anything but peaceful. Lena stood beside the observation window, silent. The faint blue glow of her neural implants flickered along her temples. 10 years ago, she had been the girl who raced me across rooftops and laughed at danger. Now she was something else. Stronger. Faster. But also burdened. I stepped beside her. You're quiet, I said. She exhaled slowly. I'm thinking. About what? About what happens next. Rafe glanced back from the cockpit. Next, he said. Next we get you two somewhere safe. Lena shook her head. There is no safe. She turned toward us, her eyes sharp with determination. The military won't stop looking for me. Why? I asked. They've already lost control of several Sentinel prototypes, she said. But I'm the only one who escaped with my combat AI fully intact. Rafe frowned. You're saying you're unique? Yes, she said. And that makes me dangerous to them. I crossed my arms. So they'll hunt you forever. She nodded. Unless we stop them first. The words hung in the air. Rafe gave a small laugh. Stop the entire military program? Just another Tuesday. But Lena didn't smile. I know where their main Sentinel facility is. Both of us stared at her. You're serious, I said. They built the command center beneath the old Arctic orbital elevator, she continued. That's where they control the implants. I felt a chill. If they control the implants, does that mean they could control you? She hesitated. Yes. The silence in the shuttle suddenly felt heavy. Rafe rubbed the back of his neck. Well, that's comforting. Lena looked straight at me. Kai, if they reactivate the control signal, I won't be able to fight it. Then we destroy the command center, I said. Rafe blinked. You say that like it's easy. I shrugged. Breaking into impossible places seems to be our specialty now. Lena studied me for a moment. You're not afraid? Of course I am, I said. But I already spent 10 years losing you once. I'm not doing that again. Her expression softened. For a second I saw the Lena I grew up with, the girl who believed the world could be bigger than the districts we lived in. 2 days later, we reached the rebel hideout hidden inside an abandoned mining complex. The resistance fighters gathered around Lena as if they were seeing a legend. Sentinel Unit 07. One of them whispered, "She's real." Lena ignored the attention. Instead, she walked straight to the tactical table. A holographic map of the Arctic region appeared above it. "The command center is here," she said, pointing at a massive underground facility. 3 layers of defense, drone patrols, automated turrets, and armored divisions. Rafe whistled. "So, heavily guarded death trap." "Exactly," Lena replied. I leaned over the table. "What about inside security?" "Biometric scanners," she said. "Unless..." She looked at me. "Unless what?" "Unless someone can hack their system again," she said. Rafe grinned at me. "Looks like you're famous now, mechanic." I sighed. Great. The plan took shape quickly. A small infiltration team would enter the facility through an old maintenance tunnel buried beneath the ice. Once inside, I would hack the central control network. Lena would locate the Sentinel Command Core. Then we would destroy it. Simple. At least on paper. The night before the mission, I found Lena sitting alone on a crate near the hangar. "You should be resting," I said. She smiled faintly. "Sleep doesn't come easily anymore." "Because of the implants?" "Yes." She tapped her temple. "The AI processes information constantly." I sat beside her. "You've changed a lot." "So have you," she said. "You used to panic if a drone sparkled wrong." "Hey," I said. "That drone almost exploded." She laughed softly. The sound felt strangely familiar. "Do you regret coming for me?" she asked. I didn't hesitate. "No." "Even if we don't survive tomorrow?" I looked up at the stars visible through the hangar opening. "Then, at least we finished what started 10 years ago." She studied me quietly. Then she said something that surprised me. "When they first took me, I thought I'd never see you again. I kept telling myself you'd forget me." I shook my head. "Impossible." She leaned her head lightly against my shoulder. For the first time since the rescue, she seemed calm. The next day, the mission began. Our transport dropped us several kilometers from the Arctic facility. The cold wind howled across endless snowfields. Rafe pointed toward a small metal hatch half buried in ice. "Maintenance tunnel." I cracked the lock panel open. After a few quick rewires, the hatch opened. We climbed down into darkness. The tunnel stretched deep beneath the ice. Frozen pipes ran along the walls. After 20 minutes of walking, we reached a sealed door leading into the main facility. "Here we go," I muttered. My terminal connected to the security panel. The system fought back with layers of encryption. But after years of repairing military salvage tech, I knew their patterns. Finally, the door slid open. We were inside. The facility corridors were cold and silent. But we didn't stay unnoticed for long. Security drones appeared from the ceiling. Lena reacted instantly. Her rifle fired 3 precise shots. The drones dropped from the air. "Movement detected," her AI voice whispered. 2 squads approaching. "Then we move faster," Rafe said. We ran through the corridors toward the command chamber. Gunfire echoed behind us as soldiers began closing in. Finally, we reached the main control room. A massive glowing sphere floated in the center. The Sentinel Command Core. Lena stared at it. "That thing controls every enhanced soldier." I plugged my terminal into the console. "Give me 5 minutes." "You have 2, Rafe said as alarms blared. I typed faster than I ever had in my life. Lines of code scrolled across the screen. The system tried to block me, but I found the override channel. Almost there. Then Lena suddenly froze. Her eyes widened. Kai, what? Her voice sounded strained. They've activated the control signal. My heart stopped. What does that mean? Her hands began shaking. It means they're trying to take control of me. She dropped to one knee. Finish the hack, she gasped.
Now.
I pushed the terminal to its limit. The override command flashed on the screen. Core access granted. Got it, I shouted. Destroy it, Lena yelled. Rafe pulled a plasma grenade from his belt. He hurled it straight at the glowing sphere. The explosion shattered the core. Electric arcs exploded across the room. Every screen went dark. Lena collapsed completely. I rushed to her side. Lena. Her implants flickered, then slowly went dark. She opened her eyes. They lost control, she whispered. Relief flooded through me. It worked. We escaped the facility minutes before the entire structure began shutting down. Without the Sentinel Command Core, the program collapsed. Enhanced soldiers across the world were suddenly free from military control. By the time we reached the rebel base again, the news had already spread. The Sentinel project was finished. The government had lost its ultimate weapon. Days later, the world felt different. The rebellion was growing. The military was losing power. And Lena was finally free. One evening, we stood together on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The sunset painted the sky in gold and orange. Hard to believe, I said. 10 years ago, we were just kids climbing rooftops. She smiled. And now we just destroyed a secret military program. Casual upgrade. She laughed. Then she turned serious. You know what's strange? What? For 10 years, I thought my life was stolen from me. She looked out at the horizon. But maybe it was just leading me back here. Back to you. I felt warmth spread through my chest. Well, I said, next time you disappear, maybe leave a note. She nudged my arm.
Deal.
We stood there as the sun slowly dipped below the water. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel uncertain. It felt wide open. And whatever came next, we would face it together.